short video for you today. It's not going to take a lot of time, but it's something that I want to share with people that have been following the movement here in Minnesota, both on Facebook and YouTube and Rumble and some of those platforms, especially those that are following activities at school boards and city councils and county board meetings. This message today is especially for you. I want to start out by just recognizing and acknowledging that the whole COVID scare, the whole COVID fear really kind of did us a favor, especially here in Minnesota. The favor that it did is it opened our eyes to things that we let slide, to things that we let slack, to things that went by without notice and kind of eroded over time. Let me explain that with the schools doing distance learning and children having that laptop open on the kitchen table, which, by the way, is where I think computers belong anyway. They belong where mom and dad are walking in and out often, frequently, so that we can monitor, if you will, for lack of a better word, or parent, even a better word, we can parent our children in what their eyes and ears are experiencing. But COVID-19 opened our eyes and ears because we'd walk by the kitchen and we'd hear something that a teacher was saying in a Zoom lecture, or we'd hear about an assignment, or we'd see what our kids were researching, especially when it comes to critical race theory and Black Lives Matter and the sexual perversion of our children going on in our schools, and some of that. So I like to actually change CRT from critical race theory to just CT, critical theory. We are equal. I don't really give 2 cents credit to anybody who tells me any different. We are in one of the best, if not the best country in the world, where there is equal opportunity for those that desire to apply themselves. But the whole COVID thing opened our eyes in that way. And because of it, parents started getting a little bit more in tune to what has probably been going on for 20 or 30 years. And that made parents and parent groups start forming and attending and critiquing and criticizing school boards and city councils and county boards. And, that's not a bad thing, America. In fact, it's a good thing. Now, I've heard some school boards genuinely say that they're thankful that parents are showing up and getting involved. I've had other school boards that said they were thankful that parents and parent groups were getting them. Those school boards, some of them weren't really thankful and still aren't today. But they wanted to at least have that appearance to the general public. Recently, there's been some hubbub, if you will, on social media about outside influencers attending some of these city council meetings or school board meetings. And for one, I kind of take offense to that, but I want to illustrate or demonstrate something to you. So today I'm just asking, and again, this won't be long, I'm just asking you to open your mind, open your heart, open your ears. Let's have some two-way dialogue. You can respond to this. I will respectfully get back to you. I just ask that you be respectful in return. But I want you to hear what I have to say, and I will certainly hear what you have to say. When it comes to being an outside influencer, most people's mind go to the same or similar thing as crisis actor that our government's been paying at some of these things, and they're definitely not the same. And I'd like to also share this point with you. Someone from the outside might not be as outside as you think. Now, I, for one, have been invited to many city council meetings, and I've been invited to many school board meetings in my employment, in my role that I play within the movement for the NATF. But I want to share with you, if you are a taxpayer in the state of Minnesota, if you are a resident, if you own a business, if you own property here, if you shop here, then you do have some interest and should be interested in our education system. You should be interested in what our school boards are doing. You should be alert and aware as to what our city councils and county boards are doing. Why? Because it affects you. It affects me. And not just today, it affects us tomorrow and next year and 10 years from now. Why? Well, because we're educating children. Children grow up to be teenagers, and teenagers grow up to be adults. That's how it works. And when they're teenagers or adults, they get into the employment world and they start coming to people like me, a small business owner, wanting a job, or like you, a manager of a major manufacturing plant or retail establishment, and they want employment or they need employment. They don't all want it, but some of them need it to make their bills. Do you hear what I'm saying? Anyway, because of that, we have an interest in the education. We have an interest in what our city councils and our county boards do, especially if you're a business owner, but not limited to that. So, when you talk about an outside influencer, I don't see it that way. We all have a very vested, valid interest, or should, in the education. Our teenagers today are our city council members tomorrow. They're our school board members tomorrow. They're our state representative in 15, 20 years. Who knows how young some of them start? I thought Pastor Bradley Dean from Sons of Liberty said it really, really well when he brought up that he'd been to a high school and gave one of his speeches. And I said, when? And he said, well, probably 12 to 15 years ago. Okay, and I said with Bradley, I said, Bradley, those are the parents that we're now fighting in some cases. Those are the parents now who don't get it. See that it's transition, it's generational. Some people that we've talked to before have already moved on, and now they're moms and dads. So absolutely, we all have an interest. So what's happening, what you're seeing in some of these school boards and council member meetings and county board meetings are that people are invited to attend, not just the local public. And not just the local public are speaking. In fact, if your school board or your city council is asking for your address for a public forum or demanding that you provide an address, listen, that's a policy. That is not the law. You have the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of Minnesota behind you. You don't need to give all that information. You're not required to. And they can't set a policy that tells you you are required to, or they're stifling your right to free speech and free expression and your right to a redress of grievances if you have them. So many people that are appearing at these events are invited. They're asked by parent groups. Maybe they speak more eloquently. Maybe they've been in the fight a little longer. They've been in the battle. Maybe they have a law background. Maybe they have a nursing background. And these parent groups or other members in a community are asking for other people to come show up, and in a show of solidarity as well. Sometimes it's just strength in numbers. It's being there silently, but in the audience to say, hey, we support you. There is nothing wrong with that in America. In fact, if you're doing that, I applaud you for it. So again, keep an open mind to what I'm saying today. People have a right to speak at a school board member meeting. You don't have to have children in that school district. I know grandparents that feel shut down, and yet some of those grandparents are raising those children. Absolutely, they have a voice. If I said that we're not crisis actors when we're going to these places, and we're certainly not. We're knowledgeable, we're educated, we're experienced, we're needed, and we're wanted, we're asked for, we're invited. And that alone should speak volumes to some of you and make you say, why? Let's hear both sides. After all, that's what we're trying to get these school boards to do finally, isn't it? And the county boards and city councils. We're trying to open dialogue two-way and have them hear us, have them have a conversation with us, rather than what they call an open forum that doesn't answer any questions. We wouldn't be there. These people that you call outside influencers, they wouldn't be there if we didn't have the closed-minded, closed-eared response from school boards and city councils and county boards, and even some of our state legislators. You can't reach them. Heck, look at Governor Walz. He still hasn't met some of our state representatives. I just can't even imagine. I can't believe there's not a policy about that. But even without a policy, just in the interest of working together with our elected servants, I don't understand that at all. My name is Keith, and I'm an investigator with the NATF, the National Action Task Force. And I thank you today for just keeping